My brother crashed my wedding with a proposal. His girlfriend wore white, stealing our moment. Wine spilled, fists flew, and cops showed up. Then he said I wasn't our parents' real son. I'm Ethan, 32, living in a quiet little town in Ohio. My wife Emma is the love of my life, and we were planning our dream wedding in Cleveland. My younger brother Liam, 28, has always been the golden child. Growing up, he got the bigger Christmas presents, the extra slice of cake, and mom and dad's endless praise. Me? I was the responsible older brother, always expected to set the example. It stung, but I swallowed it. That's just how it was in our family. A few weeks before the wedding, Liam called me up. His voice was all charm, like he was selling me something. Hey Ethan, can I propose to Sophie at your reception? It'll be quick, I swear. Sophie's his girlfriend, flashy and loud, always chasing attention. I took a deep breath and said no. This was our day, mine and Emma's. I wasn't about to let Liam steal the spotlight. His tone shifted, sharp and annoyed. You're being selfish, man. It's just a moment. I held firm, told him it wasn't happening. He hung up, and I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. The next day, our parents, John and Mary, showed up at my doorstep. They live in Cincinnati, a few hours away, but they drove over like it was an emergency. Mom's face was red, her voice shaking. How dare you tell Liam he can't propose? This is his moment too. I stood there, stunned. Dad chimed in, calm but firm, saying I was making a big deal out of nothing. Emma was in the kitchen, hearing every word, her hands gripping the counter. I repeated my answer. No, it's our wedding. Mom's eyes narrowed and she snapped, if you don't let him, I'll rip Emma's dress to shreds. My stomach dropped. Emma's dress was her grandmother's, altered to fit her perfectly, worth every penny of the $1,500 we spent on it. I stepped closer, my voice low. If you touch her dress, I'm calling the cops. Mom's jaw dropped, like I'd slapped her. She started crying, her hands flailing. Would you really do that to your own mother? I didn't blink. Yes, the tears stopped fast, replaced by a scream. You're ungrateful, Ethan. Liam deserves this. Dad just stood there, nodding like she was preaching gospel. I finally told them if they kept pushing, Liam wouldn't even be invited. That shut them up. Liam called later, promising he wouldn't propose. His voice was smooth again, but I didn't trust it. I could feel the tension building, like a storm ready to break. Looking back, I should have seen it coming. Liam's always been the favorite, ever since we were kids. I'd get a bike for Christmas. He'd get a dirt bike. I'd get grounded for a week. He'd get a pat on the head. It wasn't just gifts, it was the way Mom and Dad looked at him, like he could do no wrong. I was the one who had to include him in everything, share my friends, my space. I loved him, sure, but it felt like I was always in his shadow. Now, with the wedding coming up, that shadow was looming larger than ever. I just wanted one day for me and Emma. Was that too much to ask? The wedding day arrived, crisp and sunny, at a charming venue in Cleveland. Emma looked like a dream in her grandmother's altered gown, her smile lighting up the room. I couldn't stop staring at her as we said our vows, the lake sparkling behind us. The reception was in full swing, tables draped in white, fairy lights twinkling, and our friends laughing over glasses of wine. For a moment, everything felt perfect. Then I noticed Sophie, Liam's girlfriend, strutting in wearing a white dress. Not off-white, not cream stark, bridal white. Heads turned, whispers spread. Emma's grip on my hand tightened, but she kept her smile. I leaned over, whispered, she's got some nerve. Emma just nodded, her eyes narrowing. I tried to shake it off. We danced, cut into our first song, and the crowd cheered, but I could feel Liam's eyes on me, that smug grin he always had when he knew he was pushing buttons. I spotted him across the room, whispering to Sophie, her hand flashing a sparkly bracelet that screamed, look at me. I told myself to focus on Emma, on our day. We moved to the cake table, ready to cut the 3-tiered vanilla masterpiece we'd spent $800 on. The crowd gathered, cameras out, and Emma's laugh was the only sound I wanted to hear. Then a piercing yes cut through the air. I spun around. There was Liam, down on one knee, sliding a ring onto Sophie's finger. The room went silent, then erupted in awkward claps. Sophie was beaming, waving her hand like she'd won a pageant. My blood boiled. He'd promised. He'd sworn he wouldn't do this. Emma's face fell, her eyes darting to me. Before I could move, Claire, our maid of honor, stumbled forward, a glass of red wine in her hand. It happened so fast her arm jerked, and a crimson wave splashed across Sophie's white dress and Liam's crisp suit. Sophie shrieked, a sound that could have shattered glass. Liam jumped up, his face red. You did that on purpose, he bellowed at Claire. Claire's eyes widened, her hands shaking. It was an accident, I swear. But Liam wasn't having it. He stepped toward her, pointing, his voice loud enough to draw every eye in the room. You're lying. You and Ethan planned this to ruin our moment. I stepped in front of Claire, my heart pounding. Back off, Liam. It was an accident. He laughed, bitter and sharp. Yeah, right. You've always been jealous of me. The accusation hit like a punch. Guests were staring, some pulling out their phones. Emma grabbed my arm, whispering, Ethan, don't. But Liam kept going, yelling at Claire, calling her names I won't repeat. She started crying, her mascara streaking. A few guests tried to calm things down, but it was like throwing water on a grease fire. Liam turned to me, his face inches from mine. You're pathetic, Ethan, always trying to control everything. I felt my fists clench. You're the one who broke your promise, I shot back. He shoved me hard. I stumbled stumbled, catching myself on a table. The cake wobbled, and gasps rippled through the crowd. I pushed him back, my anger boiling over. We grabbed each other's shirts, shoving, shouting. Glasses crashed to the floor. Sophie was screaming, Claire was sobbing, and Emma was yelling for us to stop. Someone called the cops. Within minutes, 2 officers stormed in, their radios crackling. They pulled us apart, asking questions as guests whispered behind their hands. I explained what happened, my voice shaking with embarrassment. Liam kept shouting, accusing me of orchestrating the whole thing. The officers decided it was best for Liam and Sophie to leave. As they were escorted out, Sophie's wine-stained dress trailing behind her, Liam turned back, yelling, "You'll regret this, Ethan." I stood there, my suit wrinkled, my heart heavy. The reception was ruined. Guests started leaving, offering awkward apologies. "I'm so sorry," one aunt said, squeezing my arm. Emma stood beside me, her eyes glossy but fierce. "We'll get through this," she whispered. I looked around at the half-empty room, the cake still uncut, the fairy lights dimming in the chaos. Liam had stolen our day, just like I'd feared. But worse than that was the sinking feeling that this wasn't over, not by a long shot. The morning after the wedding, I woke up to my phone buzzing like a chainsaw. My head was pounding from the night before, the memory of Liam's stunt still burning in my chest. Emma was curled up beside me in our Ohio home, her face peaceful despite the chaos. I grabbed the phone and saw Mom's name. They were supposed to be on a cruise in Florida, skipping our wedding for their vacation. I answered, bracing myself. "Ethan, what the hell happened?" Mom's voice was sharp, like she was scolding a kid. Dad was in the background, muttering agreement. Liam had already called them, spinning his version of the story. "Liam proposed at our wedding, Mom, after I told him no." My voice was steady, but I was fuming. Mom cut me off. "He said you humiliated him, that your maid of honor threw wine on Sophie's dress." I clenched my jaw. "It was an accident, and he shouldn't have been proposing in the first place." Dad jumped in, his tone cold. "You're the older brother, Ethan. You should have handled it better." Handled it better? I wanted to scream. Instead, I laid it out. Sophie wore white, Liam broke his promise, and the fight only started because he wouldn't back off. Mom wasn't listening. "You need to make this right. Sophie's dress cost $2,000, and it was meant for her wedding. You're paying for a new one." I laughed, bitter and hollow. "They ruined our day, and I'm supposed to pay for it?" Dad's voice hardened. "Liam's in jail because of you. He argued with the cops after they left, and now you're bailing him out." My stomach twisted. Liam, as usual, had made a mess and expected me to clean it up. "No," I said flatly. "He's your golden boy. You deal with it." The call turned into a shouting match. I brought up the past, the years of favoritism that stung deeper than I'd ever admitted. "Remember Christmas when I was 10? Liam got a gaming console and I got socks. Every time he screwed up, you blamed me. I was always the one who had to fix things." Mom gasped, like I'd crossed a line. "We did our best, Ethan. Liam needed more attention." Needed more? He got everything: love, praise, second chances. I was the one picking up the pieces, always the responsible one. Dad said I was overreacting, that I should apologize to Liam and move on. I hung up, my hands shaking. Emma stirred, her eyes soft but worried. I told her about the call, how Mom and Dad were on Liam's side. As always, she hugged me, her warmth grounding me. "They've always chosen him," I said, my voice cracking. "It's like I'm not even their son." Emma's fingers tightened around mine. "You're enough, Ethan. We don't need them." I nodded, but the weight of their words lingered. Growing up, I'd felt it the way their eyes lit up for Liam, the way my achievements were brushed off. I'd spent my life trying to prove I was worth their love, but it was never enough. I stared out the window at the quiet Ohio street, the neighbor's dog barking in the distance. Liam was probably sitting in a cell, smirking, knowing Mom and Dad would swoop in to save him. I wasn't going to let them drag me back into their mess, but deep down, I knew this wasn't over. Liam had a way of pulling everyone into his chaos, and I had a bad feeling he was just getting started. A week after the wedding disaster, Emma and I needed a break. We drove to a mall in Columbus, hoping to clear our heads. Emma was eyeing a pair of boots she'd seen last month, priced at $150, and I wanted to treat her after everything. The mall was buzzing, kids running around, music blaring from stores. Emma slipped into a dressing room to try on a dress, and I wandered nearby, scrolling through my phone. Then it rang. Liam's name flashed on the screen. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got me. His voice was slurred, like he'd been drinking all morning. "Ethan, you're gonna love this," he said, laughing. "Mom and Dad are giving me everything. The house in Cincinnati, the $500,000 trust fund, all mine." I froze, leaning against a rack of jackets. "What are you talking about?" He chuckled, the sound bitter. "You're jealous, aren't you? Always have been. They're making sure I'm set for life. You're getting nothing." My heart pounded. I asked him to explain, my voice tight. He didn't hold back. "You're not even their real kid, Ethan. Dad had an affair. Your real mom didn't want you, so they got stuck with you." The words hit like a sledgehammer. I stood there, the mall noise fading to a dull roar. "You're lying," I said, but my voice shook. Liam laughed again. "Why do you think you've got brown eyes? Everyone else in the family has blue or green. You're the odd one out." I wanted to hang up, to call him a drunk liar, but pieces started clicking. The favoritism, the way Mom's smile never quite reached me, the way Dad always seemed distant. Liam kept going, his voice cruel. "Grandma wanted them to put you in foster care, but they kept you out of pity. I've known since I was a kid. My chest tightened. I asked how long he'd known. Forever, he said. They told me when I was like 8. Said you were a mistake. The call cut off abruptly, leaving me staring at my phone, my hands trembling. Emma stepped out of the dressing room, twirling in a navy dress. What do you think? She asked, her smile fading when she saw my face. I forced a grin, told her she looked stunning, but my mind was spinning. We paid for the dress, $80, a small distraction, and headed home. The drive was quiet, the Ohio fields blurring past. I kept replaying Liam's words. Was it true? Could my whole life be a lie? When we pulled into our driveway, my stomach dropped. Liam's car was there, parked crooked. Sophie, Mom, and Dad stood on our lawn, their faces tight with anger. Mom marched up as we got out. You owe Sophie a new dress, Ethan. $2,000 plus an apology for the emotional damage. I laughed, incredulous. You're kidding. They crashed our wedding, and I'm the bad guy? Sophie crossed her arms, smirking. Your little maid of honor ruined my moment. Emma snapped, her voice sharp. You wore white to our wedding, Sophie, and Liam proposed after Ethan said no. Dad stepped in, his voice low. Just pay for the dress, Ethan. Be the bigger person. I was done. No, if anything, you owe us for wrecking our day. Then Emma dropped a bomb. I told Claire to spill the wine, she said, her chin high. Sophie deserved it for wearing white. The air went electric. Sophie's jaw dropped. Then she lunged at Emma, screaming. I jumped between them, pushing Sophie back. Liam charged at me, his fist swinging. I ducked, shoving him hard. Mom was yelling. Dad was threatening to call the cops again. It was chaos. Our quiet Ohio street turning into a battlefield. Emma grabbed my arm, her eyes fierce. Let's go inside, she said. But Liam's words echoed in my head, not their real kid. I looked at my parents, their faces twisted with anger, and wondered if they'd ever loved me at all. The air in our driveway was thick with tension, the Ohio dusk casting long shadows across the lawn. Sophie's scream still echoed as she lunged at Emma, her nails clawing the air. I stepped in front, pushing Sophie back with a firm hand. Don't touch her, I growled. Her eyes flashed with rage and she spat. You're both pathetic. Before I could respond, Liam charged at me, his fist swinging wild. I ducked, my heart racing, and shoved him hard against his car. The thud echoed and Mom gasped, clutching her purse like a shield. Stop it, both of you, she yelled, but it was too late. Liam came at me again, his face twisted with years of entitlement. You've always hated me, he shouted, grabbing my shirt. I pushed back, my anger boiling over. We stumbled across the gravel, fists flying, each hit fueled by every Christmas I got socks while he got gadgets, every time I was blamed for his messes. Emma screamed for us to stop, but Sophie kept egging Liam on, yelling, Get him! Dad pulled out his phone, his voice cold. I'm calling the cops, Ethan. You're done. I barely heard him, my focus locked on Liam's sneer. Sirens cut through the chaos. 2 police cars screeched into our street, lights flashing. Officers jumped out, shouting for us to break it up. Liam swung one last time, catching my shoulder. I shoved him off, panting, as an officer grabbed my arm and another tackled Liam to the ground. Cold metal clicked around my wrists, then his. Emma's face was pale, her eyes wide with fear. Ethan, she called, but the officer waved her back. Sophie was still ranting, pointing at Emma, while Mom and Dad stood silent, their faces unreadable. In the back of the cop car, the leather seats smelled like sweat and metal. Liam sat beside me, his lip bleeding, a smug grin creeping across his face. I glared at him. What's so funny? We're both in handcuffs. He chuckled, low and cruel. You still don't get it, do you? Mom and Dad never wanted you. That's why I got everything. My stomach churned, his words from the mall call clawing at me again. Not their real kid. I leaned forward, my voice sharp. You're drunk, Liam. You're just trying to hurt me. He shook his head, his eyes glinting. Ask them yourself. You're the mistake they couldn't get rid of. The ride to the station was a blur. At the precinct, Emma was already there, her hands shaking as she signed paperwork to bail me out. Liam was still in a cell, yelling for Sophie to get him. Emma shot him a look, her voice ice cold. Ask your fiancé to clean up your mess. We walked out, the night air heavy. In the car, I told her what Liam said about the affair, about me not being their son. Her hand found mine, squeezing tight. We'll figure this out, Ethan, she said. Together. I nodded, but my chest felt hollow. The life I thought I knew was crumbling, and Liam's cruel laughter rang in my ears. As we drove home, I wondered if I'd ever get the truth, or if I even wanted it. Emma and I decided to reclaim our happiness. A few months after the driveway fight, we planned a vow renewal in a small garden in Dayton, Ohio. The sun glowed soft, flowers blooming around us. Emma, radiant with a small baby bump, walked down a makeshift aisle in a flowing dress that hugged her curves. Only close friends were there, their smiles warm and genuine. We stood hand in hand, promising to face whatever came next together. Her eyes sparkled, and for the first time in weeks, I felt light. The $500 we spent on the ceremony was worth every penny to erase the shadow of our ruined wedding. Life felt hopeful until a call shattered it. Mom and Dad had died in a car crash on a Pennsylvania highway, a freak accident that left me numb. Despite our strained history, grief hit hard, a mix of loss and unresolved pain. Emma, now 6 months pregnant, insisted on coming with me to the funeral in Cincinnati. The church was packed with relatives, the air heavy with sorrow. I stood by the caskets, minutes, staring at Mom and Dad's faces, wondering if I'd ever been more than a burden to them. Liam was there, across the room, his face blank, no tears, no grief, just a strange, satisfied glint in his eyes. As the service began, I watched him. He stood apart, avoiding me, his posture stiff. When the priest spoke of Mom and Dad's love for family, Liam's lips twitched, almost a smirk. It unnerved me. Was he relieved they were gone? Did he know something I didn't? Emma squeezed my hand, grounding me, but I couldn't shake the feeling that Liam's coldness hid something darker. Relatives offered condolences, their voices soft, but Liam stayed distant, his fiancée Sophie clinging to his arm like a trophy. I overheard a cousin whisper about their lavish spending $10,000 on a weekend in Vegas, apparently. It didn't surprise me. After the funeral, we drove home in silence. Emma's hand rested on her belly, and I focused on the road, the Ohio countryside blurring past. "You okay?" she asked, her voice gentle. I nodded, but I wasn't. The funeral had stirred up Liam's words, not their real kid. I hadn't confronted it, hadn't asked for the truth. Part of me didn't want to know. What would it change? Mom and Dad were gone, and their favoritism had carved scars that wouldn't fade. But Emma's presence, her steady love, kept me anchored. "We've got each other," she said, reading my mind. I smiled, weak but real. Back home, we threw ourselves into preparing for the baby. We painted the nursery a soft blue, assembled a crib we found for $200 at a local shop, and stacked tiny onesies in neat piles. It was our bubble, our peace. Liam's shadow lingered, but I pushed it away. I didn't know if his cruel revelation was true, and for now, I didn't care. Emma and our soon-to-be child were my family. As I watched her fold a tiny blanket, humming softly, I felt a flicker of hope. Whatever lay ahead, we'd face it together, and that was enough. Life settled into a fragile calm after the funeral. Emma and I focused on our future, our Ohio home now a sanctuary. We spent evenings painting the nursery, laughing over tiny socks and onesies, dreaming about our baby. The $200 crib was up, the walls a soft blue, and Emma's glow made everything feel possible. But whispers about Liam trickled in through family. He and Sophie were burning through their $500,000 inheritance, throwing cash at lavish trips and a gaudy mansion in Cincinnati. A cousin called one night, voice low. "They're broke, Ethan, already asking relatives for loans." I wasn't surprised. Liam always lived like the money would never run out. One evening, as Emma and I sat on our porch, the phone rang. Liam's name lit up the screen. I hesitated, my thumb hovering. Emma nodded, so I answered. His voice was different, soft, almost broken. "Ethan, I'm sorry," he said. "I messed up. I left Sophie. I want to fix things with you." My heart twisted. Part of me wanted to believe him, to have my brother back. But his words from the cop car echoed not their real kid. The hurt was too deep. "I can't, Liam," I said, my voice steady. "Not after everything." He started to plead, but I ended the call and blocked his number. Emma squeezed my hand. "You did the right thing," she said. I nodded, but the weight lingered. Weeks later, Emma woke me with a squeal, holding a positive pregnancy test. Her eyes sparkled, and I pulled her close, my heart racing with joy. We were building something real, something ours. The nursery became our haven. Each blanket we folded a promise of better days. I thought about Liam's revelation, the secret about my birth. It still stung, but I didn't need answers anymore. Mom and Dad were gone, and their choices couldn't define me. Emma and our baby were my family now. As Emma's belly grew, we planned a simple life. No mansions, no drama, just us. I got a promotion at work, enough to cover the $1,000 hospital bills we were bracing for. One night, as we lay in bed, Emma traced circles on my hand. "You're going to be an amazing dad," she said. I smiled, the knot in my chest loosening. Liam's shadow was fading. I heard he was couch surfing, his mansion repossessed, Sophie long gone. Part of me felt sorry for him, but I wasn't going back. Our Ohio street was quiet now, the neighbor's dog the only sound. I looked at Emma, her face soft in the moonlight, and felt peace. The pain of my family's betrayal, the secret of my birth, it didn't matter anymore. I had a new life to build, a child to love. Whatever lay ahead, I knew one thing. With Emma by my side, I was home, and that was enough.